الحمد لله الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So where we left last week was where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was telling us about how the people of book behave, especially their scholars. لِيَشْتَرُوا بِهِ ثَمَنًا قَلِيلًا. They would give easy fatwa depending on your need, what you want, sir, and then you get some monetary benefit thereby. It's like a bribery, and they were very happy with that. You have any trouble, give us some money, we sort it out for you. A similar thing has been adopted by other religions as well. So there's a lot of similarity to that. And they were quite pleased with that because it made them have some say and control. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminded that it's not going to benefit you the least. And also, despite all of that, you need to think where you are with your knowledge, with your understanding. Go and apply. It's not that you don't know it, you know it. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encouraging them to go to your people, invite them to the deen, you act upon Sharia, and then let others follow the Sharia. Then you've been blessed forever. Now the question may arise, the scholars knew it, but what about the common people? Laity, awam. They didn't know much. So what is their fault? Or maybe there is little fault, but what exactly is their problem with them as opposed to the scholars? Is the fact that they should know that their desires have been fulfilled by the individual and we're paying for that. This is not Sharia. And they could see very easily that I get this answer for this amount of money, but I can get better answer for a little bit more. I can keep increasing the value and I would get even ease. And this is very clear to human being that no one takes your responsibility. You're not a silly human being. Human being have intelligence of some sort where they can work out very easily. And this is very beautifully explained by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whatever causes you to feel something in the heart, which you cannot express outside, and in your quiet time on your own, even if you make so many excuses to people, when you're on your own, you know whatever you're doing is right or wrong. Many times, very, very clear. Obviously, not talking about the nitty-gritty, very detailed fatwa about something very, nuanced. Simple, basic Sharia is very clear because it is fitra, it is in the nature, it is innately inherited to human being. Allah says in the Quran that فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَى. We have inspired men with the right and the wrong. It is not a rocket science for men to decipher whether this is right or wrong in clear terms. For most of the basic essentials, core principles, obviously detailed are detailed. Anyway, so whatever they have done, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells them, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فويل للذين يكتبون الكتاب بأيديهم فويل للذين. Some can just help me with this slideshow is doing a little bit tricky movement. So, yeah, So whale is for them. For who? For whale is to الذين, those people, يكتبون, those who write, الكتاب, the book, be with أيدي, their hands, their hand, with hands of them, means their hands. Woe be to those who write book with their own hands. Meaning that they would just quote something, they would write lines, their own creation of some words, and say, this is from Allah. It is why Allah says, woe be to that individual who does that. Ibn Abbas, the companion, he says severe punishment it means. Imam Zajjaj says destruction. Sayyid ibn Musayyib, the greatest of the Tabi'un, one of the really high-level scholar from the 7 major fuqaha of Medina, sab'a fuqaha. He said a valley in hell. And this is supported by another hadith as well. Imam Baghawi wrote this in his tafsir. Sayyid Khudri, he said the whale is, as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained, whale is a valley in the hell. These believers will descend from top down for 40 years. Keep going down, down, down for 40 years of there. And they wouldn't reach the bottom. They wouldn't be able to go to the bottom yet. 40 years, and this is all fire. So this is whale. And there's Su'ud, is a mountain in the hell. It's too high. The people, they would be made to go and ascend. And they will continue to ascend for good 70 odd years. And they'll be thrown from there down. They'll be literally coming down over the period of time again, and then up and down. So sometimes you may say, what a big deal. Well, it is a big deal when you're freely floating and you feel, and you do not know where the base is, and keep doing it. It's too much of a problem. I don't know whether you like bungee jump or not, but something similar. ثم يقولون هذا من عند الله.
يقولون هذا من عند
Write book on their own. They say this is the book of Allah. They say ثم, then they say هذا, they said من عند الله, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This has come from Allah. I'm not speaking on my behalf. This is Allah's word. Allah has inspired me. So obviously they wouldn't say that I got revelation, but they start writing. This is the hukum of Sharia. They make the fatwa either knowingly when they had the knowledge, just to please people. That's big haram, obviously. This is exchanging material world for your life, for your akhirah. Changing and getting petty gains and total gains by selling the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's haram for scholars doing it. And then other people who would give this ruling on their own without knowing. And that's a problem as well. Because they haven't got knowledge and they know they do not have. In order to save their face, they would do certain thing and say it. You know what? I think it's in Quran actually, just to prove their point. Oh, this is in Hadith actually. Oh, I know this is how it is, without knowing. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man qala fil Qur'ani bi ra'yi." Whoever said anything about Quran with his own understanding from his own self, without knowledge. He didn't know it, but he said something about Quran. And then he got it right actually. Fluke. Asab. He got it right. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Faqad akhta." He still made a mistake. How dare he talk about Quran on his own without knowing? In another hadith, whoever says something like this, فَلْيَتَبَوَّأْ مَقْعَدَهُ. Let him take a seat in hellfire. He is putting himself in a very difficult position. So he knew that he doesn't know. If you don't know, then you don't say. This is one of the problems that we see in so many problems that we are in. Brother, I am not a scholar, but. So what is this but after scholar? If I'm not a scholar, I'm not a scholar. Would you do the same with, I am not a doctor, yet I am going to, shall I tell you what you should take for your cancer? Where does that but come? It's just full stop. I am not a scholar, I don't know. Go and ask some scholar. That's it. I'm not a builder, I don't know. I know something about medicine, being doctor, but I don't know about how to do these. I may have a common sense, that's a different thing. I don't make judgment based on that. I can only suggest, maybe ask a decent question, that's different. Very strange. ليشتروا به ثمنا قليلا. So why would they do that? So that yashtaru, so they buy. B is, this one is for exchange. In exchange of it with what? What are they exchanging it with? This financial, exactly, gain. A thaman, a price, which is very little. So they sell deen for a little price. They're quite happy with that. They buy material world for the exchange of their akhirah. And nothing could be more silly than that. So obviously for them it's it's like they're doomed. So Allah says, فَوَيْلٌ لَهُم مِّمَّا كَتَبَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ. So again, wail is woe, the destruction is for them, lahum, mimma, from what? Katabat, wrote. Aidi is plural of yad, hands, him, there. So what their hands wrote. Woe be to those. Whatever that is, what those people, whatever they're writing, even that is cursed. That is, completely destructed. It's not going to be of any benefit, even if it seems that you got out of some trouble maybe, or you got some financial gain, or the name, fame, stage, few extra people started following you, some more likes and followers on the whatever social media you're on. Is that going to help you? That individual knows, even if he wins the debate publicly, even if he scores points, it's not going to help him. If he doesn't know, he's ignorant. If he knows and doing it, he's audacious person, knowingly committing something. وَوَيْلٌ لَهُم مِّمَّا يَكْسِبُونَ. Whatever they've written and say that this is from Allah, that is not from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is cursed, and woe be to that. And also woe be to what they're getting in return of that. And woe for whom, for them, to them, min ma yaksibun, from what they are earning, whatever they earned, the poultry game. And despite all of that, whatever they have done, their false hopes, their wishful thinking doesn't stop. And they say, وَقَالُوا لَا تَمَسَّنَا النَّارُ إِلَّا أَيَّامًا مَعْدُودَةً. And قالوا, they said, لن, never ever, تمسّ, مَسّ يمس is masisa actually, مضاعف, so massa. So tamassa, touching, to touch. So the nar is feminine, that's why the nar would not touch. Never touches us. The nar, the fire, will never touch us, except ayyaman, days, ma'duda, counted. So only the number of days, few days. Even if we go to hellfire, we'll be there for a few days. And they would accept that because they would say 40, perhaps some say 40. Some say, some of the Jewish people and the leaders, they would say, some say because that many days our forefathers worshipped the calf. So hence, it should be just for that many days. We just expiate on their behalf as a compensation, temporary punishment, and will come out of it. And they would actually say, we'll be there for, they claim, Sayyid Abdullah ibn Abbas, who would say, they claim that they will suffer only 1 day's punishment for every 1,000 years that they have been in this world. And according to Old Testament, the world has been there for 7,000 years altogether. So they say only 7,000. So 7 days. So we're happy with 7 days. I mean, they're quite happy to be in hellfire. I mean, that's completely stupid understanding, isn't it? You can't even imagine to be in hellfire for even a second. If you truly imagine the magnanimity or the gravity of that punishment is, how would you ever think of being there even for a second? But they're happy with that. Oh, we'll be there. No, that's only a short while. It is belittling the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And similar thing, if happened to you with your child, 14, 13, 12-year-old, he said, I'm going to buy you from using computers. Okay, do it. I don't mind. I'm not interested. How do you feel? That's so disrespectful. You're not punishing because you want to punish. It's not about punishment. It's about the respect, his authority, which he's challenging with his attitude. When Allah says something, he says, so what? Can't be bothered. So that's a very big thing. And some of the Jewish people would think, people of book, that Muslims would take their place after they've come out of the hellfire. You'll be going there after us once we've left that. False hope. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam conquered Khaybar and he was there, so a Jewish lady there invited Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and a few other people for food. And she poisoned. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam took some of his companions. She put poison in the meat. She knew Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would like the shoulder part of the sheep. So she put a lot of poison in it. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam headed this another Sahabi, perhaps Bashir or something similar name. Noman, I don't think it's Noman. Could be Noman ibn Bashir. I doubt that. But one of the companions, name I'm not quite clear at this point. But anyway, this Sahabi, he just had a small bite, while Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam only touched with his blessed, lips or teeth a little bite. He had a piece. He died very quickly. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam stopped straight away and said, no one touches it. Don't touch. And he said, there's poison in it. And I said, get the lady. And she said, how do you know? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, أخبرني هذا اللحم. This meat taught me or told me. He said, oh yeah, oh Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ya Rasulullah, I only wanted to verify that if you're a true prophet, then you would know. If not, then I would get rid of you. That was my idea. So she tried to. But then when that Sahabi got, martyred, then poisoned, then she was killed in retaliation or retribution subsequently. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam before that asked her, now you know who will be in hellfire? Now that you've verified, and now where would you be? What's the trouble? She said, I will be there for a short while, where after your people will occupy that place. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, go away, you don't know. In your fantasy world. By Allah, you people will never emerge from hell, neither will we ever replace you there. Imam Ahmad and Imam Bukhari both wrote this hadith. So that's how they have always hoped. In Quran, نحن أبناء الله وأحباؤه, will be there even for a short while, and we haven't got any trouble. It will come. You can do whatever to the Gentiles and other people. There's no blame on you. You can treat them whichever way you want. And that's obviously wrong hope according to our tradition. So Allah says, قُلْ أَتَّخَذْتُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. اللَّهِ عَهْدًا. قل say. It's actually أَإِتَّخَذْتُمْ. Is a question. It's like do, like an auxiliary verb that you ask a question verb, word which you say do, would, are, or that sort of word that you use, helping verb, or the auxiliary verb we use, the term for English counterpart. So is one of those. Hal and are used in Arabic. So it is actually ittakhadhtum, that did you take? Have you had a contract? So for short, you would say attakhadhtum. You don't need to say, this is the way, there's a rule. Anyway, قُلْ أَتَّخَذْتُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. Did you take, have you taken from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a covenant, contract? Is there a deal with you, between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you would never go to hellfire? فَلَنْ يُخْلِفَ اللَّهُ عَهْدَهُ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not then go against it.
ये कंप्लेन करता रहता है, उससे कहोगे टीच कर देती.
Have you taken a covenant that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so never ever will yukhlifullah, akhlafa yukhlif, to go against. But Allah would not go against ahdahu, his covenant. Is there a deal? Show me the contract that Allah has made a contract with you. Where is that? Or am taquluna ala Allahi ma la ta'lamun. Or are you saying, is used as opposed to aw in question. When you use aw, it is or as well. For question, okay, is or, but in question context. So do you or? So then you use So taquluna, do you say, or are you saying, ala Allah, upon Allah, on Allah, about Allah, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're imposing something on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ma la ta'lamu, what you do not know. Without knowing, you're just saying something, not realizing the magnificence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the grandeur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is there any similarity? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said a very, very scary hadith whereby he said, عن أبي سعيد الخدري رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لتتبعن سنن من كان قبلكم شبرا بشبرا ذراعا بذراع. In another narration, قلنا يا رسول الله ذراعا بذراع حتى لو دخلوا جحر ضب تبعتموه. قلنا يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم اليهود والنصارى؟ قال فمن. The text has been moved here and there. That's the problem with you. Copying and pasting from the website. So Abu Sa'id Khudri radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he says that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, you would most certainly follow the way, the path of those who were before you, handspan by handspan, arm span by arm span, inch by inch. That's what it literally means. That's the muhawara they use. So much so that even if one of them entered into the hole of Dab is the lizard, iguana, you would follow them. Some of you would follow them. We said, oh Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, do you mean the Jews and Christians? Mean people before us? Are you referring to them? Who else? Who else am I referring to then? Means yes. Hadith in Sahih Bukhari. And then another narration similar to this, Abu Huraira radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he narrates from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, قال لا تقوم الساعة حتى. Just completely change. تأخذ أمتي بأخذ القرون قبلها شبرا بشبر وذراعا بذراع. فقيل يا رسول الله فقيل يا رسول الله كفارس والروم. فقال ومن الناس إلا أولئك. This is gone completely here. I don't exactly know the words of this one. The previous one I knew. This one is just like a similar meaning, but slightly distorted. So don't quote on that. I think they've just anyway. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this hadith is saying the sa'a, the hour would not establish me the day of judgment. Hatta until ta'khudhu ummati تأخذ عن is مقدر there. So my ummah would take بأخذ القرون قبلها. They would take from the nations before it. They would take the same path, their way. Shibran bi shibran, again, hand span by hand span, dira'an bi dira'in, arm span by arm span, cubit by cubit, inch by inch. So then someone said, Faqila, so someone said, Ya Rasulullah, O Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Kafaris our Rum, like the Faris, like the Iranian, the Persian, or the Romans? So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ وَمَنِ النَّاسُ إِلَّا أُولَٰئِكَ. That makes sense. وَمَنِ النَّاسُ إِلَّا أُولَٰئِكَ. Who else from the people other than them? These are the one I'm referring to. So obviously some debate about why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would say Rome and Faris as opposed to Jews and Christians is a predominance, and there are narrations to support the fact that there are many Jewish people living then and even now in Persia, and many Christians living in Rome anyway. So it's similar, whether you call it Christian or Jews, or you say these two nations which were inhabited with these people, mashallah. So there's no disagreement or discrepancy, so to say. Hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari. What the hadith is saying, why I wrote this here, is the fact that we have been seeing how the people of Book, Bani Israel, has been behaving towards Rasul of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of the time, Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, and yet we see a lot of similarity in our life. And we have already been told that we would follow their footsteps. And we're seeing it, and we're doing it. Knowingly doing something is so much of a embarrassment that on the day of judgment we'll feel like chewing our fingertips out of resentment. So be very, very clear. The same claims as they are claiming, we have got many deviated sects who claim to be Muslims. Some of them actually go out of their way to reject the basic tenets of Islam, basic teachings and creedal points of Islam. And this is what we call ma'loom min ad-din bil-darura. We detail that and discuss that in some more length in Aqidah class later on, inshallah ta'ala. But for the time, you just understand this. Ma'loom min ad-din bil-darura. What is ma'loom? Something which is known from the deen. Is deen, it doesn't say that, no, it's deen. Ma'loom min ad-din, from the religion, something which is known by necessity, means it's a must. You have to have that. It's like saying, do you know men? Yes. What is the description of men? Men with hands, eyes, walk, talk, eat, or work, that sort of thing. Women, few other description. Tree, you know the description. There's certain essentials, core points about that knowledge that you have. It cannot exist without that. So likewise, the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cannot exist without those few basic essentials. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's Sharia likewise. Because the core principles in all the religions are same. About Tawheed, about Risala, about Akhirah, about Qadr, about Jannah, Jahannam, all of those angels, books. But then rulings would be different. So whatever is essentially known with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's teaching, from Quran and Sunnah, from his way, by the agreement of Ummah, that would decide, that's the boundary of Islam, that is Iman, that is Islam, that is belief. Within that boundary, there could be differences, but in that boundary, anyone who is inside is a Muslim. The believer. Someone who rejects it is outside. So one has to have that knowledge. What would constitute, what would make you Muslim, and what would take you outside of the fold of Islam. So then within Islam, you would have many different sects, many different claimants, many people making claims, different groups making claims. So for example, people who claim to be Muslim, some of them will say, Quran is corrupted, it's not complete. There are certain ayat missed. We haven't got the complete Quran. We don't believe that this is the true copy. True copy would come later with another Imam at the end of the time. There's a small sect of Ahl Tashayyu. Not all of them believe that, but some. Whether Sunni or Shia or Kharij, whoever believes that, whether they're Muslim, they're not Muslim. You can't be Muslim with that Aqidah. You have to have, that's known by necessity. Likewise, some people claim that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala entered in the human form. Some Nusayris and the Hululis, they say that Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam is, or Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Obviously, na'udhu billah, that can't be right. Everyone should know it. And likewise, there's Prophet after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam through his stamp. And it's a good thing there should be many prophets. Why not? Being prophet is good. Someone said to me directly, I was coming from Pakistan in 1992 to visit my sister here. I was a medical student then. I took a cab from Heathrow Airport. And this man was, Qadiani. So he said to me, what do you think about prophethood? Is a blessing or favor or a curse? I said, favor, obviously blessing, great blessing. He said, so shouldn't there be more prophets? Why you want to restrain it? This is how we started the conversation. I was like, I just guessed it that this man, and that was my first ever trip to UK, to London. So what I did, I said, I'm not gonna, because my family, my sister was supposed to, pick me from the airport, but my parents were already there. And I was coming from Pakistan, they came from Saudi Arabia. So they couldn't pick me because my flight got delayed. I thought I would just take cab, don't you worry. And unbeknown to me, and then I got scared. I don't know what would he do to me. Would he take me if I say something there or there, like Pakistan? I said, yes. And then he gave me a card and he invited me to this 5-star hotel with this conference happening, and for free and whatnot. And, yes, no debate time. Very tough. I literally swallowed my everything at that point. And I was studying, Islamic sciences then, and you become a bit more fierce to, pass your English or whatever. Yeah, the people are they like this. And those among the Muslims who have not gone out of the fold of Islam, but they have certain fancy ideas. Some would think that, my sheikh, my saint, we don't call them saint in Islamic tradition, but saint, what it means, he would sort me out. I don't need to do any work. I would just make sure that he's happy with me. He would take my burden and straight to Jannah. He would be providing me his piggyback, and I would just go to Jannah. Whether he goes to hellfire or not, that's his problem. I will be sorted. Subhanallah. Completely haram and wrong understanding. None of the scholars of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah ever accept that. I mean, the people that you would think would accept are, from our Barelvi sects, even their scholar would not accept that. It's haram belief according to even them. This is juhala, common people. They just got like gaddi nashin, the chain after chain, people after people. Their ulama wouldn't say it, despite all the differences that we may have with them. Aqidah, we share so many common things. Muslims normally have quite agreement on many points on Aqid. Yeah, there's certain things that people differ on, which is the secondary level Aqidah. The Aqidah that will make you Muslim or Kafir, that is agreed upon among Deobandis, Barelvis, Salafis, Ahl Hadith, Jamaat Islami, Tanzim Islami. That's why you can't kick them out of Islamic fold. Be very careful on that. And I'm saying that after studying all of them and being with them, all of them, literally, with the family background, with the work colleagues, studies, this and that in different parts of the world. I can explain, inshallah, that at some point, the salient features of each of those, inshallah, that would help in our Aqidah class when you understand. But I would suggest you can consider them to be misguided. Whoever you want to be following, that's fine. If you're from this group and you want to consider other group to be some misguidance there, that's fine. But don't charge them with kufr or shirk. Don't take them outside of the fold of Islam, because that's a big responsibility. If they are not, for example, I just give you just a very simple example. Many people are very quick to judge, and they see someone bowing down like this. So he saw someone like this, see, he's doing such, that shirk, haram, out. Look at him and say, I can tell you, if you find someone doing sajda on the grave. He's in sajda by the grave. And you don't know the grave, whoever that is, any grave. Can you call him kafir? Can you call him mushrik? I know people would say, and that's not right either. Because the two intentions which are possible here. One, if he has actually done actively, not been forced or told, he hasn't been made to do it, or he's not drunk, fell off. He actually did the sajda, this prostration on the grave, by the grave, I mean. Either he did it with the sense of ibadah, that I am worshipping this man, whoever is in the grave, the saint, the imam, the sahabi, the prophet, whoever. Then this is kufr, this is shirk, associating partners with Allah. You cannot bow down to anyone other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with ta'abbud, for taqarrub, to gain the nearness of that is haram. And shirk, obviously, it would take you outside of the fold of Islam. But there's another intention. You do out of respect. To have the respect. You still believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Lord. He's not, I consider him to just, oh, he's Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or another shaykh, or another imam, my teacher, my whoever. That is haram by consensus. Haram. You can't do that. It's haram to do that. Major sin. Major sin. But again, not kufr though. It would make you a very bad Muslim, but still a Muslim. So how would you know what is his intention? You need to go and ask him. That's why you can't judge. You have to go, by the way, I just saw you doing it. What is it? Oh, no, I was just picking something up. I was licking. There was some sweet sitting there. Ah, fine, that's fine. And I've got this pica syndrome, so I was just licking the dust there because I have this craving for dust. Or I'm pregnant, and during the pregnancy, I've got anemia, I've craving for, that's the only thing that I found this. I'm just licking on that. So I wouldn't have said that. But don't do that, please, because you're causing me. You understand that? So don't judge. Wallahi, don't judge. We've been there, and many people have been there, and you feel like doing it, but don't do that. Leave scholars to sort it out. Allah would not ask you about who is believer and who is not believer. You should know what is the boundaries of Islam, what is the boundary of Sunnah wal Jama'ah. That will suffice. The rest you can leave. Yes, there could be a lot of issues, and you don't need to accept. You can reject it very nicely, decently. Don't take people's faith and iman in your hand. Staying quiet is always safe. Even if you find the greatest of the shaykh that you love and respect, he said he's kafir or she's kafir or mushrik, that's their role. They've done it. They will be accountable. They could justify whatever they said. That's their problem. You don't. It's like, God forbid, your father and your uncle had a fight, and father happened to be older brother. He said, you call your younger, your uncle, some bad names. So traditionally, you would expect your father to say, if he is a little bit more angry, gadhe, and even more angry than patta of someone. Then you, as 5-year, 10-year, 15-year-old, you said, you know what? Dad told me that you're that. Can you say it? Is it okay for you to say it? It's nothing to do with you. Even if it's quite appropriate title for that uncle of yours, you are not entitled to do. Father is father. They can sort themselves up. Nothing to do with you, though. So stay away. Because you don't know why he said it, you can't understand. Leave them alone. The scholars, many people get, oh, that's their problem. And tilka ummatun qad khalat. They're gone. And even those who are here, let them do their job. We don't need to worry about that. Now, Bani Israel were chosen people. Allah said, وَأَنِّي فَضَّلْتُكُمْ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ. We have gone through that. The ayah will come again, actually. And I have given you favors and preference over the whole world, every nation of that time at least. And yet, despite all those, they have not been given any hope for salvation. Because despite their lineage going to who? Ibrahim alayhi salam. And Allah loved Ibrahim alayhi salam to the point that Quran is replete with Allah's connection with Ibrahim alayhi salam. Hanifan Muslima, Awwahan, Munib, Halim. So many beautiful words for Ibrahim alayhi salam. So that lineage wouldn't help people. This is why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever بطأ به نسبه لم يسرع به بطأ به عمله لم يسرع به نسبه كما قال. He said, whoever has been pushed back by his bad action, he would not be moved forward, he would not be able to go forward with his lineage. من بطأ به عمله لم يسرع به نسبه كما قال. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clarify that. Yeah, we go. Yes. No, good.
Just one step back a little bit.
Ideas.
And so on. I just wish to ask this point because it's come about quite often. Are we therefore allowed to pray behind the Imam of such a masjid?
Very good question.
It's very prevalent at the moment, and I'm not sure.
So, first of all, we need to be very clear that the thing that we are attributing an individual with is true. Because to belong to a sect, to get yourself known by a type of people, does not necessarily mean that you endorse all the practices. If that Imam, despite being from a group, have clear idea and understanding, he is there because this is his flock. We've been together for generations. So if his idea is clear, then now, you don't need to go and dissect the heart. But if you see him generally, okay, that will suffice. Now, there is the moderate view on this is a muqtadi', someone who does do bid'ah. Like in his aqidah, like Khawarij, Shi'as, Mu'tazila, Jahmiya, Karamiya, Qadariya, Jabariya type people. That's aqidah and bid'ah in aqidah. And there's certain action in aqidah. There's difference there as well. Some bid'ah are much worse than the others. If that individual who has not got bid'ah in his aqidah but in his action, and yet he just does it without asking people, without inviting people to get involved, and he does not censure the others, he just does it on his own. And you on this side, the boundary, think that this is bid'ah. They do not think it's bid'ah based on their methodology. And there's no clear-cut definition, by the way, on bid'ah, which this ummah has agreement on. Bid'ah is something which has been described by people. I mean, you go back, two major imams of the history explained bid'ah in very, very good terms. Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah alayhi, he divided into good and bad. Actually, Quran, he would consider good and bad bid'ah. And you can't charge Imam Shafi'i with anything. He knows stuff. I mean, he is the Imam. So he's very clear on this. So he would just make some bid'ah to be wajib as well. Sunnah, farm, haram, and makruh. So he would just go through all of that. Making Quran, sitting, using this, having a regular circle on this day. We not make it a sort of a regular thing? Was there hadith for that? Wednesday afternoon, after Isha, subhanAllah. We don't think about the time where there goes close, we're still going on. So, no, so that's one definition. Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, on the other hand, he's from Hanbali school, but he had his own school. Imam Shafi, obviously, Shafi school, rahmatullah alayh, giants. And he would say, no, bid'ah is bid'ah. Whatever you say is good or good bid'ah, based on many reports and things, they both have fantastic evidences for both of those. We can go through that in the Aqidah class. We've done that before, but maybe it's time to just revise it. And then he would say, is al-bid'atu bid'atan, we don't accept. The bid'ah of two types, we don't accept. We say, whatever is good and in the interest of people, we call it maslaha mursala. We will call it public interest. So having a copy of Quran. In fact, the very people who consider bid'ah to be very clear-cut, black and white, nothing which is added in deen should be considered okay. It should be all bid'ah. There should be evidence for that. And obviously, they do not take qiyas and ijma' into consideration. So they take Quran and Sunnah only. If this is not in Quran and Sunnah, that's bid'ah. Other Imams would say all four, and many others. The Quran, Sunnah, Ijma and Qiyas even. So all four, if you just derive a ruling and there's basis in them, then it's okay. They would not consider that. Even that group, which does not consider anything other than Quran and Sunnah, we find them doing certain things without any evidence. And yet it's okay. So how come? I just give you one thing. They will say, oh, it's maslaha mursala. So you call it whatever you call it. They consider maslaha mursala in a different way. Mawlid, milad, we call it our culture milad. For them, it's a bid'ah, clear-cut bid'ah, no doubt about that. So there's no way they would. And the other group, the Barelvi brothers, they would say, we know there's no hadith to support it, but we have few points from hadith of practice of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would point to it. Based on that, we consider it to be okay. And many imams, actually, they have more historical imam with them. I side with the point, just to be on the safe side, we do not specify a date for Mawlid, but praising Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam salutation throughout the years, perfectly fine. So on a specific day, special things, I stay away from that, but I do not charge them with this, oh, you're committing a heinous crime. Even if this is bid'ah, according to this side understanding, is it that horrible that you should just censure people? They're doing out of love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is why Imam bin Taymiyyah rahmatullah alayhi has a very beautiful quote around it. He said, we consider it to be bid'ah based on our understanding and methodology. Yet, those who do it, they do out of love for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is the quintessential factor of deen. This is the core of Islam. In fact, I would go out of the way to say, how do you know Allah? How did you come to know Allah? Did Allah come to you? How did you know this is Quran? Through Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So when he was born, that was the day which is, there's nothing in comparison to that day. That is really the most blessed day, the day that he was born. But is it recurrent for every year? There's no evidence as far as we on this side concerned. But does it, make you, audacious enough to charge others with astaghfirullah? That's so much of a, I think it's just ugly. Let them do it, what they're doing, and they've got the evidence for that. And the evidence is this. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would fast on Monday. Would he not? He would. And what's the reason he gave? Two reasons. One reason is actions are presented on this day. That's why I want to be in the state of fast. Another narration, I was born on this day. So I was born on this day. So he's doing his celebration of his birth every Monday. So as a concept of birthday, like your own day, by thanking on that day, if I just thanked on my birthday every year, is that bid'ah? Very difficult to say that. Now, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam doing it, it becomes deen. He's not doing it as a secular something now. No, he's fasting on that day. So you could say, okay, fast on that. Then, where did they get that annual thing? They came to Medina. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam found out from people of book that they had 10th of Muharram, Ashura fast. And upon inquiry, they said, we do it because Rasul of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Musa alayhi salam and the people were delivered and saved from the clutches of Pharaoh and the team on this day. So Musa alayhi salam then fasted to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He fasted. So Rasul every year. So we fast the same way every year. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was doing that every year anyway from before. And he said, Nahnu ahaqqu bi Musa. We are more in keeping with Musa alayhi salam. We have more right of Musa alayhi salam. Means we should do it. Isn't that evidence that every year thanking for a favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What is bigger favor? The favor of Musa alayhi salam and the people getting released from Pharaoh. And that was actually only for Bani Israel, by the way. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's nubuwwah is for whole humanity. Do you think this is bigger favor than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? So if they have that evidence, it could be very thin. You don't like it, you don't have to accept it. They may be like, then at least know where they're coming from. And then stay quiet. Don't celebrate, don't do it. The reason I don't do it, on that specific day, although I write Nasheed and I do read Naat. In fact, I'm actually seen in this today for a whole month, possibly maybe a bit more, for two reasons: that this is Rabiul Awwal, to follow the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam hardly ever missed his imamah. He would always have his head covered, always. Masjid, outside of masjid, unless he needs to take, obviously, for whatever reason. So nobody's head is always covered with a topi underneath. Qalansuwa is the word being used, headgear, and he would have his imamah. This was known for him. So I'm just doing it for that reason. You will see me more in this month with this than other month, and it's coming to winter as well, obviously. In some ways, it's difficult, isn't it? Not that it is must, not that it's very special, but just my way of trying to follow a little bit extra sunnah, if I could, because I'm so sinful, I need that. Some people don't need alhamdulillah, they can only go with fun. That's your love, how you want to connect yourself with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his teaching. Now you start calling, doing in Rabiul Awwal, your turban is a bid'ah. Outside of that is fine. I didn't make it must. I don't consider it to be sunnah. I don't consider it to be special something. I'm not assessing or advising you to do it. It's my action. Come on, let me just, subhanallah. Don't make your religion so dry. But we don't celebrate a specific day in the name of the celebration for many reasons. One of the reasons is that I do not consider that day to be the day of birth of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because factually, based on the history, based on sayings of Imams, yes, just based on historical background, it doesn't fit, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was definitely born on Monday, as per his own saying in Sahih Hadith. And he was born in the year of elephant. And you can't put that together. Can't be Monday and 12th and the same year. You have to navigate it. Historically, it can't be 12th Rabiul Awwal. Like, it's weaker of the opinion, but it is widely accepted by people. As Christmas is on 25th, it's not on 25th December, but it is just, they've taken a day, make it like this. The Shah Muzaffar or someone just took it out. Which one? Let's just do on this day. It's easy. Let's do on Wednesday, for example. So we just made it a day. It becomes easy for the organizational purposes, and then it becomes a norm. So anyway, even if it was a right day, because I don't personally think that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Sahaba did not specify. They did whatever they did individually. So do individually, but don't make it public. Don't. Now, that is only that much. And I do not want to be in the line, even if you get the reward of celebrating Mawlid and go to Jannah, inshallah ta'ala, with that good deed, I hope, then you're queuing up where there is no prophet, no sahabi, no imam. It's just us, those who celebrated it. I would rather be with Abu Bakr and Umar in their lane. I don't want to go ahead with them. It makes me feel odd that I do not deserve to be in a lane with none of these are present. None of my imams, like from my lineage of hadith, for example. So why would I? But those who do it, wallahi, I respect and love them, because they're doing it to love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Any sign of love for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Quran actually hint to that as well. What does Quran say about Christians and Jews? There's a difference. Allah says, you will find لَتَجِدَنَّ أَشَدَّ النَّاسِ عَدَاوَةً لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا الْيَهُودَ وَالَّذِينَ أَشْرَكُوا وَلَتَجِدَنَّ أَقْرَبَهُم مَوَدَّةً لِلَّذِينَ آمَنوا لِلَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّا نَصَارَى ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّ مِنْهُمْ قِسِّيسِينَ وَرُهْبَانًا وَأَنَّهُمْ لَا يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you would find Jewish people and idolaters more in animosity with Muslims, because they hate Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They reject him due to hatred, and they have more animosity for prophets after Musa alayhi salam. And with regards to Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam, the attitude is whatever they tried, the forefathers obviously tried to kill Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam, crucify him. Whether they could or that's a different topic. But with regards to Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam and the people of book, what is their attitude? They've gone completely overboard. But at least out of love. Do they hate Isa alayhi salam? So at least they have love for a prophet that we appreciate and we consider to be one of the mightiest prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They hate Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that's a big problem. But compared to Jewish people, they have got one extra prophet in their list that they respect and honor, even if they're going overboard. And that's wrong, obviously haram, and major problem with us understanding. But there is a difference. Likewise, you should see the same thing. Someone who is, for example, Qadianis, their attitude towards Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Barelvis, their attitude towards Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, do you put in the same court? Are the same? Stop it. They are questioning Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's finality of prophethood, and you've got these people. Even if you consider them wrong, they're actually not going against Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a whole. There's certain love affair or ideas, affection or sentiment that they have gone a little bit overboard with that. So still our brothers, inshallah. So I don't think that we should, but yeah, if you have that idea, and some of them are very staunch, they consider everyone else to be kafir. So obviously, such people, you can avoid them. You don't have to pray behind them. You've got your own like-minded people, pray behind them, inshallah. But your prayer would be valid behind anyone who does innovation, as per Mufti Shafi Usmani, the father of Mufti Taqi Usmani Sahib, rahmatullahi alayh. You can pray behind a mubtadi', someone who has innovations and deviations of this sort, practical deviations, if, provided they do not advocate that and they do not censure those who do not do that. So if you don't do celebration, you're kafir, or you're outside of the fold. There are certain religions like that. Obviously, you can just say Assalamu alaikum, even don't say that, and then run away from them because they might not be very happy for you saying, because they don't consider you to be Muslim. You don't have to say them anything, just stay quiet. So inshallah, that will make it easy. Okay. Anyway, so on the other hand, I was just pointing to the point, this idea, how when you quote Quran and Sunnah, yet your khutbah in English. You start in Arabic and then English. Where did you get that from? Where's the evidence for that? Is that religious? Yes. Is that based on what? Who said so? Which Imam? Any Imam in English language. They all being Sahaba and Imams went to different parts of the world. Egypt. Were they speaking Arabic then? When they conquered it? No, Coptic. Islam prevailed in such a way that now Arabic is their language. One of the major languages, key language. What about India? When they came to India, they said, oh, khutbah could be done in other than Arabic. You do your India, Hindi or Farsi, Arabic. In fact, you cannot find one country the Muslim been to, and they changed the Persia, they changed the language of Jummah khutbah to the people so that they can understand. Not at all. They maintained it throughout the history. It's only recent time, in the last 50, 70 years. Where's the hadith to say that you can do khutbah? Because khutbah is part of ibadah. And ibadah is done within the boundaries, whatever Rasulullah did. You can't add or subtract the ibadah. And you're very happy with this change of language in that. And I know some Imams allowed it, that's why I'm very happy with that. But if you really take very strictly on your opinion on bid'ah and non-bid'ah, then this is bid'ah. There's nothing more, widely practiced bid'ah than this khutbah of Jum'ah or Eid in other than Arabic language, because there's no precedence to that at all in Muslim history, other than the last 50, 60 years when we started coming in. And they were, maslaha mursala, there's public interest. Yes, there's public interest for people to love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam even more so. In the time, they should know. In fact, there's a need. Technically, I'm saying, although I don't buy that, I'm not saying that we should be doing it. I'm saying there's a need to celebrate every day for every companion. So today, Sahabi number 5, number 10, and read up about their life history. Teach your children every day of one Sahaba to the day that they passed away or were born, the Imams, so they know their historical heritage. They know what's happening in the history. They don't even know about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, let alone all the other Sahaba and Imams. So they should celebrate every day, because there will be someone passed away every day in history if you want to just compile something of that sort. Anyway, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I just finished with that. قُلْ هَلْ نُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِالْأَخْسَرِينَ أَعْمَالًا الَّذِينَ ضَلَّ سَعْيُهُمْ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَهُمْ يَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّهُمْ يُحْسِنُونَ صُنْعًا. O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, shall we tell you, inform you of the greatest losers as to their deeds? Those whose effort is lost in the worldly life while they think that they're doing very well. They think they're completely deceived by their ideas and actions. Don't do that. Especially, as I mentioned, please do not, one last slide. بَلَا مَنْ كَسَبَ سَيِّئَةً وَأَحَاطَتْ بِهِ خَطِيئَتُهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. Nay, bala, yes. Man, whoever kasab, whoever earned sayyatan, bad deed, evil, and is surrounded, ahata, with him, the khati'ah is sins. Khati'ah is plural, singular form. Khata or khati'ah. Khati'ah itself is singular. Sorry, I made a mistake. It's not jama or khata. It's khati'ah is singular. Khataya is the plural. Anyway, so his khati'ah, his mistakes, his sins has wrapped him, surrounded him. So then what happened to him? فَأُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ. So these are the people companion of fire. هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. In it they would dwell forever. And وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. And as those who believed and did good action, أُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ الْجَنَّةِ. These are the people of Jannah. هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. In it, meaning Jannah, they would dwell forever. And so the misguidance is very clear. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us all on the right path. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam warned us, saying that Inna Allah la yaqbidu al-ilma intiza'an yantazi'uhu min al-ibad walakin yaqbiduhu biqabd al-ulama hatta idha lam yubqi 'aliman ittakhadhu an-nasu ru'usan juhalan fasu'ilu fa'aftaw bighayri 'ilm fadallu wa adallu. Very, very scary hadith, and which is very practically seen in our lifetime. I heard, he said, Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma, I heard Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying that indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not snatch away the ilm from the hearts of people, from people. Rather, He would take away the ulama. He would take the lives of ulama. And then there would be none of the ulama left. Then people would take as their leader, religious leader, among the ignorant ones, some of them. And they would ask them, فَسُئِلُوا, they would question, and they would give fatwa, after بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ, without knowledge. فَضَلُّوا, and they would be misguiding, and they would misguide others. They themselves will be misguided, and they would misguide others. This is going to happen at the end of time. Hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari. So the salvation lies in only true belief, sincere belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, good deeds, and teaching of Sunnah and Quran of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the guidance of God-fearing ulama. There are still some ulama available. Take advantage for you and for your next generation. Time would come very soon when there'll be none left and we'll be really struggling. May Allah give us tawfiq to understand and respect our ulama, because لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. Allah will increase you if you show gratitude. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. For the next 4 weeks, obviously, I'm not here, so we might not have the lesson. We definitely would have the lesson, but you could tell me, well,